And councillors, this is where, again, we're going to hear from the Auckland Philharmonic Orchestra. The other amenities will be presenting later so that we can get on with some of the order of the business of the committee. Thank you. So can I invite Barbara, is it? Welcome. Thank you.
Shiny thing. No wonder it costs so much to run it.
And can I, at this stage, welcome various members of the amenities board, which I should have done earlier. I apologise. Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you, and I would also like to welcome our chairman, Geraint Martin, and we just thought we'd start off by cheering up your morning.
That sounds very good. Wonderful way to start.
Madam Chair, may I suggest that we start every meeting
I was
like
just
that?
going to say that, Councillor Cracks. I
It would put us all in a very good mood.
And particularly Auckland Development Committee meetings.
Someone would move a point of order in the middle.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we actually thought we'd start with some music, not just for your entertainment, but also as a demonstration as an important part of APO's work in Auckland. Julie's an aspiring musician in her second year at Auckland University, and as a professional orchestra we feel it's part of our responsibility as well as our pleasure to give her as many opportunities as possible to make a success of what's a really tough career choice. So far she's had the opportunity to meet and get inspiration from APO soloists. She's joined our APO Young Achievers, which is a network of young musicians we've created who have a close association with the APO throughout the year and gain inspiration and practical advice from each other as well as from the APO musicians. She's been part of a string quartet, and in this program we've given her numerous performance opportunities which has helped to build her confidence and her experience. She's participated in APO summer school, sitting alongside an APO professional player for a week and learning the craft. She's been runner-up for our Young Soloist of the Year competition, a program that gives a talented young player an opportunity to play as a soloist with the APO. And she's had throughout the year access to APO rehearsals, mentoring, and a large number of opportunities through the Inspire strand of our education program. So this is just an example of one of the APO's roles in Auckland. I could equally have spoken about one of the many students from our Decile 1 schools across Auckland who've taken place in our Auckland dance projects, uniting the APO and music mentoring with professional dance participation. It's been life-changing for many of the students and inspired some of them who'd not considered tertiary education to take it on, and then now in turn mentoring some of our younger students in music. Or I could have talked to you about one of the many people whose spirits and lives we have the privilege to uplift at our concerts at the Town Hall on Thursday nights and in the community throughout the year. So as many of you will know, APO is Auckland's full-time professional symphony orchestra. We have 70 full-time permanent musicians, 26 full-time equivalent staff and an annual turnover of just under $10.5 million, and last year Council supported us with $2.94 million of that. Our vision is to inspire a lifelong passion for orchestral music, and our mission is to be New Zealand's metropolitan orchestra for the 21st century, engaging the people of the diverse and exciting city of Auckland through our excellence and vibrancy. So the way that we see it, we have two parallel and interconnected strands that really are what being a professional orchestra is about, and that's our main stage concerts and our APO connecting program of community education and outreach. So each of those is really important, and we can't do one without the other, or in a way there's no point in doing one without the other. So every year we have about 36 what we call our main stage concerts, mostly at the Town Hall, which has one of the best acoustics in the world, as we're told by all our visiting conductors. But we also have played in places like Remuera, Takapuna, Pakuranga, Howick, South Auckland and West Auckland. We play for the Opera, Ballet, the Film Festival, the Auckland Arts Festival, Michael Hill International Violin Competition, the New Zealand Aria Competition, Auckland Choral Society and many others. And we've played, as many of you will be aware, for civic events ranging from mayoral inaugurations to the opening of Shed 10 and lots in between. And alongside that is our huge community education and outreach program. In a typical year, we'll do 16 performances with the full orchestra for our kids and in our education program, and that includes having open orchestra sessions where people from the public, young families, can come along and get in and amongst the orchestra, walk through the orchestra, touch the instruments. We've done programs for vision impaired people where they can come and sit on the stage with our musicians and touch the instruments and talk to the musicians. It's all part of what we do. I've just handed out a folder, and there's a sheaf of papers in the back of it somewhere that just gives you an idea of the breadth and depth of all of our education programs. It runs to 9 closely typed pages, and if you count it up, we have 220 delivery days in our education program during the year, and that's on top of what we're doing with a concert every week of almost every week of the year, at least when we're not in the pit playing for the opera and the ballet. So last year we had a connection to 92 schools across the Auckland region, including 60 partnership schools. So they're the ones where we have a long, ongoing and deep relationship, not just seeing them once in the year. On top of that, APO musicians teach between them about 600 students every week across Auckland. We had 109 delivery sites around Auckland last year, including schools, growth hubs such as Hobsonville, local churches, community centres, performances at the Trusts Arena in West Auckland, and a lot of presence in South Auckland as well. We have programs for 2 to 92-year-olds, such as Tunes for Toddlers, Unwrap the Music, Remix the Orchestra, our hip-hop program, which is showcasing at the Family Day at the Auckland Festival on Sunday morning, our dance project, and our Young Achievers program, which Julie's a great example. So in total, last year, we played 105,000 people heard the orchestra live in 2014, and about 20,000 of those came to us through our APO Connecting program. So that's a short answer to the question, introduce your entity, what does your organisation do? So Geraint will now talk a little bit about what we're currently working on.
Yeah, thank you, Barb. I'd just reflect for a moment on that 105,000 figure. That means that the APO plays live to more people every year in Auckland than the All Blacks do. And probably plays almost as many to the Blues or to the Warriors, although except last season wasn't the flashes for either of them. But so that shows you the impact and connection that the orchestra has actually got with the community. 105,000 people hear us play live every year. And I don't think there's any other entity in Auckland that actually draws that kind of a crowd. So what are we focused on? Well, I think we're focused on a couple of things. First of all, making a real difference for Auckland. We see ourselves, now that we're a metropolitan orchestra, very much to become the fabric of the city and part of the vivid, lively atmosphere that is Auckland. That's very much what we want to do, make a great contribution to the culture of the city and to the life of the city. There are two things I think that we're very strongly focused on at the moment. First of all is to get a new home. The orchestra is 35 years old and has come a very, very long way since its foundation. probably the one consistent thing that's been in place since the orchestra has been founded has been our quote-unquote headquarters, which is, for those of you who know, is an old cinema on Dominion Road. And this is incredibly cramped and is very, very poor facilities for people to be rehearsing in. It's only got 23% in terms of earthquake compliance. When you have the full symphony orchestra there and augmented with other players, we often have more than 100 people in Phil Hall and one toilet to share between them. So it gives you some sense of the squeeze that we have on our amenities. And indeed, when we do talk to conductors, they say probably our rehearsal space is the one thing that is holding us back to even go even further. So we've come from being a homegrown orchestra to being one which is recognised as being of international class, that is bringing a lot into Auckland. To take us forward, we need a new home. So we've become a 21st century organisation. Nothing says more about where we've been than where we are now in terms of our facilities. Nothing would say more about where we're going than a new home. And the second area is working with the RFA funding, particularly with discussions about reviewing that at the moment. What I'd really like to underline rather than undermine, is the fact that the RFA funding has been incredibly important for the orchestra, or RAFA funding rather, has been incredibly important for us to grow as an organisation. It's given us the kind of financial stability that's allowed us to grow and to develop and to give the kind of returns that we are now doing. To threaten that, I think, would be threatening our ability to continue to develop and grow, as well as other artistic organisations. So when I use the word undermine, I'm very keen to underline that progress and that certainty mustn't be undermined under this review.
Thanks. Just some of the other things we're working on. Obviously, with a different concert every week, we've got a lot of logistical things we're working on. We're always we plan a long way out. So we're working on this week's concert, thinking about next week's concert, planning next month, next year, and our planning timelines usually 2 to 3 to 5 years. So that also is something that we're constantly working on. In terms of recent key achievements and outcomes,
yeah, we've appointed a new music director. Who is a very well-known, very respected music director called Giordano Bellincampi, who, despite that name, is actually Danish. And he comes with a great international reputation and is a great capture for the orchestra, and a new concertmaster who has really begun to really strengthen the sound of the orchestra. And all the reviews that we've been getting, certainly for the last year and a half, have been very, very positive, and they've talked about the improvements in the performance standards and the sound of the orchestra, and we're getting also increasing mentions, not just nationally but internationally in the music press, which is actually putting Auckland out there in the artistic world as a venue to come to. We're placed with world-class orchestras, and indeed already have a world-class hall in the town hall in terms of our acoustics. So it really is helping us to get out there and put Auckland on the artistic map internationally. And also we've been refreshing our board, so we've been seeking to really strengthen the skills that we got. So we're very pleased to have Lee Orton joining us, who many of you will know, to actually strengthen our links between using somebody of Lee's expertise in terms of links with the council and local government to help us make sure that we cement ourselves strongly in the future.
In terms of what we're hoping to achieve in the near future, we are always looking for new opportunities to reach new audiences, contributing to the growth of the city and making it a real international hub. And that's been a lot of how we've been positioning ourselves to align with the Auckland plan as well. We're looking forward to a time where APO means Auckland in the same way that Berlin means the Berlin Phil, and London Symphony and London are so closely aligned. We're really hoping that our work with the RFA will deliver a new home for us in a time frame that's before I turn grey or Geraint loses all his hair. So we're working hard towards that, and thank you for your support in that.
Yeah, thank you very much for your ongoing support. It's vital to us. Two things I'd like to finish off by saying is I think there's a fantastic story around what orchestras can do for cities. And in Birmingham in the UK, the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra became the absolute mainstay of a huge civic revival that has taken place in Birmingham, and has turned Birmingham into very much an international world-class city. For those of you who know Birmingham, 20, 30 years ago, you couldn't have said that. And the economic benefits that has brought, the reputational benefits that have brought have been absolutely considerable. And so I'll finish off by a favourite sort of quote of mine, which comes from Oscar Wilde, which says that all art is useless. However, it's the one thing that makes life worth living. So I'll just leave you with that thought. Thank you very much for your time.